Thank you very much for the invitation, Sean, for TNID. I feel very honored because I'm really the new kid around the block. My esteemed colleague, Li Gomin and Caillou, they do this for years and years and years. I'm just doing this for 3.5 years now. And we heard a lot of what is the effect on awards, what is the plan for award, why to do it. So now let's actually talk about the awards and what a photographer can or should do in order to be as helpful as possible. The important and most important thing, designers win the award. I hope nobody gets the idea that in order to win an award, all it's been needed is to hire a fancy photographer and then the awards come in automatically. Even though the judging has been done through photographs, at the end of the day, the design is being the one that gets judged and being awarded at the end. But not to do the photographers the due course, the photographer makes sure it's the right award you're winning. So here is the difference between good or maybe not so good photography in order to really achieve for the gold awards. I agree that all good photographs are documents, but I also know that all documents are certainly not good photographs. Furthermore, a good photographer does not merely document, he probes the subject and he uncovers it. This has been said by Berenice Abbott in the early 1900s, so still at the very, very, very beginning of photography. But it kind of lines out already everything that is required. And probably some of you will realize this photograph, which is the Grand Central Station in New York. And it already symbolically represents everything what a good interior photography would be consisting of. The million-dollar question, what makes a good photographer? A photographer needs tools. He needs a camera, he needs a lot of equipment. But to be honest, that is not what makes a good photographer. The most important asset of a photographer is his right and his left eye. Because at the end of the day, it's about composition. It's about what is part of the photo, what is not part of the photo, what is emphasized in a photo, and what is not emphasized in the photo. So a good photographer should have a vision what the photograph should look like even before he presses the shutter the first time. And then through the vision of a photograph, it requires certain equipment either way. And when we speak about a camera and a human eye, the reality, even as of today, where the technology has advanced, the human eye is still way superior against a camera. A human eye can recognize and realize higher resolution. It has the ability to recognize higher dynamic range, means a human eye can still distinguish patterns in shadows or in highlights where a camera would already just see black or white. Our field of view is way bigger than anything that a camera would be able to capture in a convincing way. And for me, the most two important things is the human eye has a subjective perception of color, where the camera is doing the objective perception of color. What does that mean, especially in an interior environment, is that the human eye recognizes white as a color very, very strongly in different lighting circumstances, where a camera would show your lighting already in very green, very blue, sometimes very yellow. But that is not what a human eye would realize standing in that very space. And then maybe the most difficult one is a space, an interior or an exterior is a three-dimensional space where the photograph is just a flat object. So the job of a photographer is a little bit being a translator, being the one that translates from a 3D space into a 2D space, because through photographs I'm not really able to experience an environment, meaning I can step into a room and then have the experience from all sides. I'm sitting on a flat window screen. So at the end of the day, the photographer has a choice. He either works in the limits of a camera, or he tries to mimic the perception of a human eye, what would be the experience when you would actually stand into that very space. But whatever you do, you need to present standout photos. I sell architecture better and more directly and more vividly than the architect does. This has been said by a guy who probably nobody knows the name of, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people know this very photograph. This photograph has been done in the 1960s, and it defined a complete look on West Coast architecture in California. This is a house overseeing Los Angeles. Nobody really realizes anymore what the architect's name is, but then everybody knows this very photo. It is still in the Life magazine top 100 photos as being the most influential interior design photograph as of today. The very next one nobody knows. Nobody saw it. I needed to Google it. But it's been done at the very same day from the very same architect, from the very same photographer, but with distinctive details. Instead of girls, there is just one man. And instead of black and white, it's been in color. And then the field of view is not as big in one as the other, which shows that certain trends will make a difference. It's not that in the 60s color did not exist, it existed, but at the time black and white was still the accepted way of expression in architectural photography. Okay, so why do we actually need standout photos in award competitions? What mostly people do not really realize is how many entrants nowadays they're gone into an award design competition. And it gets more and more and more every single year. What that means is, with the limited amount of judges, the time that is available to judge your project gets less and less and less and less. Where it was 10 years ago, there would easily have been the time for 2 minutes to check out your content. We're now talking seconds. What does that mean for photography? We need to be more convincing, more blunt, more standout, and more self-explanatory. So what makes a standout photo? A photograph represents three elements. It's light, its color, material, and its space. In order to have it stand out, you need to concentrate on one element per photo and let the other parts just blend in. So it's space, light, color. Spaces have a yin and a yang for most of them. It has a day phase and a night phase. Show them both at their best. You need to be there when the light is best, and don't mix things together. Day, night. Day, night. Find the defining elements in a design. It is actually a very, very short list of what makes a design unique. The job of a photographer is finding out these little things and then emphasize them boldly and proudly. Do not lose yourself in details. Always concentrate on the design and its context, and do not present puzzle pieces. This is a little bit what I see from my end in a lot of things that some interior designers love to do, is giving mood in certain corners of their design. Whereas, at least from a Western point of view, when it comes to awards and judging, they want to see the whole place. They want to see the context and not so much a nice chair with a little bit of a shelf in the background. A lot gets built which was not designed. Remove the distractions. So there's always something in there. The stronger photo is what is removed. It could be light switches, power switches, a sprinkler on the wall, etc., etc., etc. All what is not integral to the design needs to be removed. Today's photography is 100% digital. Nothing is impossible. So whatever as a designer you require, a photographer can make it happen. Do not expect or do not accept no as an answer. Even though sometimes it's a lot of effort in order to do that. This is the most important one. I make it quick because this goes for Western award competitions especially. Abandon the dead center one perspective photos and embrace the perspective, two perspective photos. What that means is there is a cultural difference in judging spaces between the East and the West. If you go for Western award competitions, the way the places need to be photographed are different as in you would go to a domestic or Japanese or whatever Asian competition. What I see of people going to the awards is they go with the Asian feeling into Western competitions. The Western judges do not know how to judge this. They do not know what a good feng shui is. They don't know that. They have a certain expectation of what the photo needs to look like, which comes from the way I learned how to read, from left top to right bottom, whereas the Asian way is from the right top to the bottom, and then consequently. All this will happen in photos. So the only accepted things for a Western mind of view from the central perspective is strong symmetry, the emphasis on height or on the bottom, and when you have a framing of your photographs. Text is complementary to the photos, not required reading, which means there is a textual part to having an award. But then what you read in the text should have already been seen in the photographs and not as being additional information. If you need to have additional information in the text, which is not in the photograph, you have the wrong photographs. And show the vision of your design and not the compromises of the realization. There is a lot of things that need to be compromised on for very, very different reasons. When it comes to an award, you need to show the best of the design, the best it could do. So this is a photo from a website of a hotel. This is the actual realization. And this is the idea the designer had. This is not 3D, this is simply photographed, but this is what the designer wanted the place to look like, and for whatever reason, it ended out as being this one. This one is very important. If 3 or 5 photos do not represent your whole design, you have the wrong photos. You need to be on point. Even though the designer, the award may allow you to enter 8, 10, sometimes even more photos, the more you do, is more confusing it gets. It really needs to be 3 to 5 photos. This is very, very important. So let's make this as an example. This completely explains the space. And very, very important, winning is a teamwork. It's not that you send out a photographer only and then he does need to do his thing. It is your job as much as it is the photographer in order to make the design as best as possible. From sharing floor plans, 3D renderings, explanation of design ideas, design elements, etc., etc. There's a lot of work involved before you enter an award. It's not the photographer's job, it's as much the designer's. 谢谢你们。